Ladies and gentlemen, you have within you the power to change everything, but to unlock that power, to truly harness it, you must first change one thing: your mind, your thoughts, your beliefs, the very way you see yourself and the world around you. They define your life in ways you may not even realize. So let me ask you a question. What if the key to unlocking everything you've ever wanted is already inside of you, waiting for you to discover it? Imagine for a moment that your mind is like a garden, and what you plant in that garden, the seeds of your thoughts, will grow and shape everything that happens in your life. If you plant doubt, fear, and negativity, you will reap a harvest of struggle, limitation, and regret. But if you plant seeds of hope, possibility, and action, your garden will blossom into a life filled with opportunity, fulfillment, and joy. But here's the catch. You don't always have control over the seeds that are planted initially. You didn't choose the circumstances you were born into. You didn't choose the people who influenced you growing up. You didn't choose all the struggles and challenges you've faced. But here's the truth. You can control what you choose to grow now. The secret to transforming your life, to renewing your mind, begins with the simple but profound act of choosing what thoughts you allow to take root and flourish. The first step in renewing your mind is understanding the incredible power that thoughts have over our lives. Every single thing you've ever done, every feeling you've ever had, every action you've ever taken, it all began with a thought. Thoughts are the seeds that create your reality. They are the foundation of everything you experience. And yet, many people live their entire lives without ever realizing how much control they have over their thoughts. We go on autopilot, replaying the same negative thoughts, the same self-doubts, and the same fears over and over again. It becomes a cycle, a loop that we can't seem to break free from. But here's the game changer. You have the ability to change those thoughts, to change the patterns in your mind, and to rewrite the story you tell yourself about who you are and what you're capable of. But how? How do you begin to renew your mind? The first thing you need to understand is that your brain is not a static, fixed entity. It's not set in stone. In fact, science has shown us that our brains are incredibly malleable. This is called neuroplasticity. Your brain has the remarkable ability to rewire itself, to form new connections, and to create new neural pathways. So, even if you've been stuck in a negative thought pattern for years, you have the power to change that. The secret to renewing your mind lies in tapping into this incredible ability to reshape the way you think, to train your brain to think in ways that serve your highest good. But how do we begin this process of renewal? It starts with something as simple as changing the way we talk to ourselves. Your self-talk, the inner dialogue that runs constantly in the background of your mind, is one of the most powerful forces in your life. The words you say to yourself, the thoughts you believe about yourself, have an enormous impact on how you feel and what you do. And yet, so many of us are constantly telling ourselves negative things. I'm not good enough. I'll never succeed. I'm not smart enough. I'm not worthy. These thoughts, when repeated over and over again, become ingrained in your mind. They become your truth, even though they are far from the truth. What if you could flip the script? What if you could take those negative thoughts and replace them with empowering ones? What if you could start telling yourself that you are capable, that you are worthy, that you are enough? It may not feel natural at first, but just like any habit, with time and repetition, positive self-talk will become your new default setting. You have the power to control your thoughts, to change your inner narrative, and to create a mindset that propels you forward instead of holding you back. Every time you catch yourself thinking a negative thought, challenge it. Replace it with something positive, something that affirms your strength, your potential, your worth. But shifting your mind isn't just about changing the way you talk to yourself. It's about changing the habits that feed those thoughts. You see, the thoughts you have on a daily basis are often the result of your habits, the things you consistently do day in and day out. If you want to change your thoughts, you must first change your habits. Consider your daily routine. What are the first things you do when you wake up in the morning? Do you start your day with positive affirmations, with a moment of gratitude, with something that fuels your mind and spirit? Or do you start by checking your phone, reading negative news, or letting the pressures of the world dictate how you feel? The way you begin your day has a huge impact on the way you think for the rest of the day. If you want to renew your mind, you must start by renewing your daily habits. And it's not just about what you do in the morning, it's about what you consume throughout the day. The books you read, the conversations you engage in, the media you expose yourself to. These things have a profound impact on your mindset. If you want to change the way you think, you must change what you feed your mind. Surround yourself with things that inspire you, that challenge you to grow, that remind you of your potential. Eliminate the negative influences that only serve to reinforce the limiting beliefs that hold you back. The people you surround yourself with are just as important. Your environment plays a critical role in shaping your mindset. If you are constantly surrounded by negativity, by people who doubt you or put you down, it becomes incredibly difficult to renew your mind. But when you surround yourself with people who uplift you, who encourage you, who believe in you, that is when transformation begins. Shifting your environment is one of the most powerful ways to accelerate the renewal of your mind. Seek out relationships that are supportive, people who challenge you to be better, who inspire you to be your best self. If you can't find these people in your current environment, look for them elsewhere. Join communities, attend events, connect with people who share your values and aspirations. The right environment will not only help you think differently, but it will push you to grow in ways you never imagined. But renewing your mind isn't just about changing your thoughts, your habits, and your environment. It's also about shifting your perspective. Your perspective is the lens through which you view the world. It determines how you interpret events, how you respond to challenges, and how you see yourself. And yet, most of us walk through life with a fixed perspective, one that was shaped by our past experiences, by the things we've been told, and by the limitations we've internalized. But what if your perspective isn't the only perspective? What if there's a better way to see the world, to see your challenges, to see your opportunities? Shifting your perspective is one of the most powerful tools you have in renewing your mind. When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. Your challenges become opportunities for growth. Your failures become lessons. Your fears become fuel for action. Perspective is everything. And the beautiful thing is, you have the power to change it at any moment. If you find yourself feeling stuck, overwhelmed, or defeated, take a step back and ask yourself, what if this challenge is actually an opportunity in disguise? What if this setback is a stepping stone towards something greater? What if the very thing I fear is the thing that will propel me to the next level? The secret to renewing your mind lies in your ability to choose your thoughts, to change your habits, to shift your perspective, and to create an environment that supports your growth. It's about taking ownership of your mindset and recognizing that you have the power to transform your life from the inside out. So, I challenge you today. Start with one small change. Begin with a single thought, a single habit, a single shift in perspective. Watch as that small change ripples outward, transforming the way you think, the way you live, and the way you see yourself. Because when you renew your mind, you renew your life. And when you renew your life, you unlock the potential that has always been within you. Our thoughts shape our reality. Every action we take, every decision we make, and every emotion we feel stems from the way we think. This is not just a philosophical notion, but a scientific reality backed by decades of research in psychology and neuroscience. When you truly understand the power of thoughts, you begin to realize that your mind is not just a passive observer of the world, but an active participant in creating the world you experience. It determines how you perceive your circumstances, how you react to challenges, and ultimately, how your life unfolds. At the core of this is the concept that your thoughts are the driving force behind your beliefs and actions. Think about a moment in your life when you experienced success. What were the thoughts you had just before that success? Chances are those thoughts were positive, motivating, and confident. They led you to take the necessary actions that brought about that success. Now, contrast that with a time when you failed or fell short of your goals. What were the thoughts you were having during that time? Most likely they were negative, self-doubting, or filled with fear. These thoughts led to inaction or choices that didn't align with your potential. This relationship between thoughts and actions is not limited to success or failure. It impacts everything in our lives, from the way we approach relationships to how we see ourselves in the world. If you constantly think negatively about your appearance or worth, you will approach interactions and decisions from that place of insecurity. On the other hand, if you think highly of yourself, with confidence and self-respect, your actions will reflect that, and you will naturally attract opportunities that align with that positive view. The influence of thought on reality extends into emotional states as well. Emotions are in many ways the physical manifestation of our thoughts. When we think about something that excites us or brings us joy, we feel happy or energized. When we focus on something stressful or worrying, we feel anxious or fearful. Our emotions are not random. They are the direct result of the thoughts we entertain. This means that by controlling our thoughts, we can directly influence the emotional state we experience. What makes this even more powerful is that our brains are wired to reinforce patterns of thought. The more we think something, the more automatic that thought becomes. This is why habitual thinking is so important. Negative thought patterns, such as worrying about the future or replaying past mistakes, can become ingrained in our minds over time. Once a thought becomes habitual, it's no longer just a single fleeting idea. It becomes a lens through which we view the world. It colors everything we do and think. This idea of habitual thought processes can be seen clearly in the concept of self-fulfilling prophecies. If you constantly think you will fail, those thoughts influence your behavior in ways that ensure your failure. You might procrastinate, avoid taking risks, or talk yourself out of opportunities, all because you've internalized the belief that you aren't capable of succeeding. On the other hand, if you believe success is within your reach, you take action. Even when faced with setbacks, you push forward, learn from mistakes, and keep going. Your thoughts influence your actions, and your actions in turn shape your outcomes. Understanding the power of thought is the first step toward renewing your mind, because it gives you the understanding that you are not a victim of your circumstances. Instead, you are the creator of your reality. Your thoughts are within your control. Of course, this doesn't mean you can instantly change your life overnight, nor does it mean you can think away all of your problems. But what it does mean is that the way you think about your life, about yourself, your situation, and your potential is a choice you get to make. And by choosing empowering, positive thoughts, you begin to build a foundation for lasting change. It's important to note that our thoughts don't always align with reality. Our minds have a tendency to catastrophize situations, to inflate problems out of proportion, or to believe that one mistake defines who we are. This is why it is so essential to recognize that just because you think something doesn't make it true. Our thoughts are not always reflective of reality. They are simply our interpretation of it, and by questioning those interpretations, by challenging negative thoughts and replacing them with more balanced, empowering ones, you can begin to change your experience of reality. When you renew your mind, you are essentially learning to think differently. You are choosing to become more mindful of the thoughts you entertain, and through consistent effort, you begin to rewire your brain to focus on the positive, the hopeful, and the possibilities rather than the limitations. It's not about denying negative emotions or pretending that everything is perfect. It's about acknowledging that your thoughts shape your perception of reality, and through conscious effort, you can choose to think in ways that empower you to take action and make positive changes in your life. Neuroplasticity is the brain's remarkable ability to reorganize itself by forming new neural connections throughout life. This concept challenges the traditional belief that the brain is static and that its structure remains fixed after a certain age. In fact, neuroplasticity demonstrates that the brain is malleable and can adapt to new experiences, learning, and environments at any stage of life. This discovery is groundbreaking because it reveals that no matter what mental habits, thought patterns, or limiting beliefs you've developed over the years, you have the power to change them. At the core of neuroplasticity is the ability of neurons, the cells in the brain, to form new connections. When we learn something new or repeatedly engage in a particular activity, our brain creates new pathways or strengthens existing ones. The more we repeat these actions or thoughts, the more these connections solidify, making it easier to perform these tasks automatically. For example, when you first learned how to ride a bicycle, you had to concentrate intensely. But as you practiced, your brain began to form the necessary neural pathways that allowed you to ride without thinking about it. This process of creating and strengthening pathways is a form of neuroplasticity. Neuroplasticity isn't just limited to physical skills, it also applies to cognitive functions and emotional patterns. If you have grown accustomed to thinking negatively or engaging in self-sabotaging behaviors, neuroplasticity means that with consistent effort, you can reshape the neural pathways that support those thoughts and behaviors. The brain is constantly reorganizing itself based on the experiences you expose it to. This is why changing the way you think and behave is not a matter of willpower alone, but of rewiring the brain through consistent practice. The process of rewiring the brain involves a few essential components: awareness, repetition, and emotional engagement. Awareness is the first step in any change process. Without being aware of the thoughts, habits, or patterns you want to change, you cannot begin to modify them. This is why mindfulness and self-reflection are critical in this journey. Once you become aware of the negative thought patterns or limiting beliefs that are holding you back, you can begin to interrupt them and replace them with more positive, empowering thoughts. Repetition is the second key element. Just like the neural pathways for physical skills are strengthened through repetition, so too are the neural pathways for mental and emotional habits. The more you repeat a positive thought, behavior, or mindset, the stronger the neural pathway becomes. Over time, this pathway becomes your default mode of thinking. For example, if you've spent years telling yourself that you are not capable, simply thinking the opposite once won't have much impact. However, through consistent repetition of empowering thoughts, such as "I am capable" or "I am worthy of success," these new neural pathways begin to strengthen. Eventually, the brain shifts its default setting from self-doubt to self-confidence. The third key component is emotional engagement. Emotional experiences create stronger neural connections because they involve a higher level of intensity. This is why positive emotions can have such a profound impact on rewiring the brain. When you attach positive feelings to a new thought or behavior, those connections are not only strengthened, but also amplified. For example, when you replace a negative thought with a positive affirmation and you feel the accompanying emotion of joy, pride, or relief, the brain forms a much stronger neural connection than if the same affirmation was simply repeated without emotion. The emotional aspect makes the new belief or habit more ingrained in the brain. The potential for neuroplasticity to change your life is enormous. It means that even if you've struggled with limiting beliefs, mental health challenges, or negative thought patterns for years, you are not doomed to stay stuck in them. You have the capacity to change. For instance, if you've always been someone who tends to focus on the negative, Neuroplasticity allows you to shift that pattern. You can begin by actively choosing to focus on the positive aspects of any situation, no matter how small, and over time, your brain will start to default to seeing the positive first. Similarly, if you've struggled with anxiety or depression, neuroplasticity offers hope by showing that with the right interventions, you can literally rewire your brain to handle stress and emotions differently. Neuroplasticity is not a quick fix. It's not about simply wishing your thoughts to change or magically thinking positive thoughts once and expecting instant transformation. It takes consistent effort over time. You might not see immediate results, but the key is persistence. As you repeatedly engage in positive thinking, healthy behaviors, or new skills, you are sending signals to your brain that change is not only possible, but necessary. This consistency will gradually shift your mental and emotional patterns until they become second nature. The power of neuroplasticity means that your brain is not limited by past experiences or the thought patterns you've developed. Instead, it is an adaptive, flexible system that can evolve and transform. Whether you are trying to break free from negative self-talk, overcome emotional triggers, or cultivate new habits, neuroplasticity shows you that you are not confined to your old ways of thinking and being. With the right mindset and tools, you can rewire your brain to align with your highest goals, creating lasting change that improves your life on every level. Self-talk, the internal dialogue that runs through our minds every day, is one of the most powerful forces shaping our experiences and realities. The words we speak to ourselves, whether positive or negative, have a profound impact on our emotions, behaviors, and overall mindset. This ongoing narrative, sometimes subtle, sometimes loud, influences how we view ourselves, how we interact with the world, and how we respond to challenges. The remarkable thing is that much of this self-talk is automatic, it's habitual, a default setting that we've developed over time. However, understanding the power of self-talk offers an opportunity to transform our lives by changing the narrative we carry in our minds. At its core, self-talk reflects our beliefs and attitudes toward ourselves. It encompasses everything from the encouraging, uplifting messages we tell ourselves to the harsh, critical thoughts that we sometimes repeat without even realizing. These messages often stem from childhood, past experiences, societal influences, and sometimes even the media. If we grow up with people or systems that undermine our confidence, it's easy to internalize these voices and begin repeating them in our minds. For example, if we were told repeatedly that we weren't good enough, we might unconsciously adopt a belief that we are somehow unworthy of success or happiness. In turn, this belief fuels negative self-talk like, "I can't do this," or "I don't deserve this." The impact of negative self-talk on our lives is immense. When we consistently feed ourselves thoughts of inadequacy, fear, or failure, it affects our actions. We are less likely to take risks, pursue new opportunities, or push through difficult situations. These negative thoughts act as internal roadblocks, preventing us from reaching our full potential. Moreover, this type of self-talk has a direct connection to our emotional state. When we tell ourselves we are not good enough or incapable of achieving our goals, we often feel anxious, depressed, or defeated. This emotional response only reinforces the negative beliefs, creating a cycle that can be difficult to break. However, the good news is that self-talk is not set in stone. It is within our power to change the messages we tell ourselves. Just as negative self-talk can shape our behavior and emotions, positive self-talk can shift our mindset and lead to greater confidence, resilience, and success. It all begins with awareness. We need to become conscious of the thoughts we're having. The more mindful we are of our internal dialogue, the more we can identify harmful or unproductive thoughts that are sabotaging our progress. For instance, if we catch ourselves thinking, "I'm terrible at this," we can pause and question that thought. Is that really true? Have I tried my best? Am I judging myself too harshly? Once we become aware of negative self-talk, the next step is to challenge it. The idea is not to simply push away negative thoughts, but to question their validity. Often these thoughts are based on irrational beliefs or assumptions. By actively questioning the accuracy of these thoughts, we can begin to weaken their power over us. Instead of accepting the thought, "I'm not good enough," we might replace it with, "I am capable, and I have the ability to improve with effort and practice." This shift in thinking doesn't mean that we will always feel confident immediately, but over time, these positive affirmations can replace the negativity that has been ingrained in our minds. The third step is to reframe the way we approach challenges. Instead of seeing obstacles as insurmountable problems, we can choose to view them as opportunities for growth and learning. Reframing is a powerful technique that allows us to shift our perspective from a fixed, limiting mindset to one of growth and possibility. For example, if we fail at something, rather than berating ourselves with thoughts like, "I'm a failure," we can choose to think, "This is a learning experience. What can I do differently next time?" This approach not only softens the blow of failure, but also opens the door to self-compassion and improvement. Another key aspect of changing our self-talk is the practice of self-affirmation. Self-affirmations are positive statements that help reinforce our self-worth and capabilities. They are a tool for building self-esteem and confidence. When we consistently repeat affirmations like, "I am worthy of success," or "I have the strength to face challenges," we are consciously training our minds to focus on our strengths, potential, and worth. Affirmations may seem trivial at first, but when used regularly, they become powerful tools that reshape the narrative we carry within ourselves. It's important to note that changing our self-talk doesn't mean ignoring difficulties or pretending everything is perfect. Positive self-talk is not about delusion or blind optimism. Rather, it's about maintaining a balanced and realistic view of ourselves. It involves acknowledging our struggles while also recognizing our strength and capacity for growth. It's about being kind to ourselves when we fall short, without internalizing failure as a reflection of our worth. By shifting our self-talk, we can transform our emotional responses and behavior. When we replace self-criticism with self-compassion and self-doubt with self-belief, we build a foundation for greater resilience. This resilience, in turn, allows us to face challenges with a clearer, more positive mindset, which ultimately leads to greater success and well-being. Furthermore, when we change the way we speak to ourselves, we begin to reshape our identity. We stop identifying with the limitations and start identifying with the possibilities. We stop seeing ourselves as victims of circumstance and start seeing ourselves as active participants in our own growth and success. The transformation of self-talk is a process that takes time and consistent effort. It is not something that will happen overnight, but the power of this change cannot be overstated. When we learn to speak to ourselves with kindness, compassion, and empowerment, we create an internal environment that supports our highest potential. We stop being our own biggest obstacle and become our own greatest ally, unlocking the path to a renewed mindset and a life filled with possibility. In conclusion, the journey to renewing your mind is not an overnight transformation, but a continuous process of self-awareness, practice, and commitment. By understanding that your thoughts shape your reality, embracing the power of neuroplasticity, and learning to challenge and change your self-talk, you can create a profound shift in the way you experience life. The mind is not a static force, but a dynamic and malleable tool that you have the ability to mold and shape to your advantage. It's through consistent effort and a willingness to change the narrative you've been telling yourself that you open the door to growth, resilience, and ultimately, success. Remember, you are in control. The mind is your most powerful asset, and by renewing it, you create the foundation for a life of empowerment, fulfillment, and endless possibility. The challenges may still arise, but with a renewed mind, you will face them with strength, clarity, and confidence. Good luck on this transformative journey. May you continue to discover the endless potential within you and never stop believing in your ability to grow and thrive. Thank you for taking the time to engage with this message, and may it inspire you to step into your highest potential. Keep going, and know that your mind is your greatest ally in the pursuit of greatness.